I am. I am. Good.
I call to order the February 18th meeting of the Student Government Association. We are live streamed and recorded. Please review your agenda as well. Dan does roll call.
Nicholas Palumbo, Isabel Moniz, Anderson Delaire, William Connor, Travis McLaughlin. Here. Brennan Giuliani.
Here.
Aviana Lee Salters.
Here.
Jacob Trainer.
Here.
Cody Hoisington.
Here.
Benny Rosas. Sophia Rubinchek. Alyssa Kuzmeski. Raymond Croto. Trail Nozel. Angelina Casella.
Here.
Marissa Montero.
Here.
Ethan Mallinson.
Here.
Christopher Lannon.
Here.
Karina Mahida.
Here.
Dominic Zyko.
Here.
Bruce Sharma. Giancarlos Ortega. Barney Garcia. Ali Sutherland.
Here. Are there any corrections to the minutes from February 11th? Christopher Lannon?
Hi, I just wanted to, one correction to it is very small. During Melissa's report last week, it said English 363 Sheltered English Immersion. It's actually Education 363 Sheltered English Immersion, which was talking about the minor. It's very small, but you know.
Thank you. Are there any further? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns on that? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved.
And now for your president's report, Joseph Bonilla.
Bear with me, y'all. How are we doing today?
Good.
Great. Thank you for coming down here, Reichelt. I'm going to give a brief bio of yourself and introduce you to the group. For everyone in the room, please keep in mind that there are some viruses and some illnesses going around, so please wash your hands, make sure you're taking care of yourself. As you can see, some people are not here today because they were either asked to stay home or they decided to stay home because they were sick. That being said, I'll go ahead and give a brief introduction of Mayor Reichelt before asking to join us in the podium. So, William Reichelt, a lifelong West Springfield resident and a 2004 graduate of West Springfield High School, has served as mayor of West Springfield since 2016, making history as the youngest and first four-year term mayor. With a strong commitment to public service, he has focused on public safety, education, and economic growth, ensuring West Springfield remains a thriving community. Prior to his election, Reichelt built extensive legal and government experience. He earned a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration from Westfield State University, he's alum, and later pursued both his Juris Doctorate and MBA from Western New England University. His career began in local government, serving on the Planning Board, Housing Authority, and as town attorney before running for mayor. As mayor, Reichelt has strengthened public safety by increasing police presence, enhancing fire safety, and implementing advanced training for school resource officers, particularly for active shooter situations. He has been a strong advocate for education, playing a key role in the groundbreaking of the Philip Coburn Elementary School, ensuring future generations have access to state-of-the-art learning environments. His administration has prioritized community development, including revitalizing the Minnetonka Park, preserving Bear Hole Reservoir, and improving infrastructure such as the restoration of Piper Ponds Dam for recreational use. He has also supported small businesses, fostering a pro-business environment to help local entrepreneurs thrive. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Reichelt led the town through unprecedented challenges, implementing safety measures while balancing the need to reopen schools and businesses responsibly. His leadership during the crisis ensured the community remained informed and supported. Beyond his official duties, Reichelt is an active member of the Rotary Club and Lions Club of West Springfield, further demonstrating his dedication to his town. His ongoing efforts reflect a deep commitment to making West Springfield a better place to live, work, and grow for all residents. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guests.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. It's a kind of great campaign introducer. I'm running again this year, so. And I apologize, it's a little bit off town. I'm complaining to Mayor McCabe. Driving through Westfield at 5 o'clock is brutal. I got every red light on East Main Street. But I would ask to speak a bit about community engagement. I'm not going to cover up anything else in my bio. You did a great job with that. But a little bit about community engagement, and I'm happy to answer. What I usually find is there's usually more questions than there is time, so I'll cede some of my time for questions and happily answer whatever you have for me. But overall, and actually we just started something new this past week. Well, we've tried it before, but we're using a new service, kind of a community engagement and looking for feedback survey platform to go out to the community and have people respond and tell us kind of what they think in a less social media environment. So that started on Monday, and it'll be due probably in a week or two, and we'll kind of, it's 5 simple questions of like kind of what you think we're doing good, what you think we're doing bad, and how you, if I gave you $25,000, what you would do with it. So I'm excited to see kind of what the community says in feedback and what we can do as we kind of craft the budget over the next few months and hear directly from people and see what they think. And it's, it'll be interesting. But overall, so community engagement generally. When I first ran, it was back in 2015, and social media was a lot different than it is now. So it was that was about 10 years ago. There were no forums back then. There wasn't as much news on it. It was more still in the sharing photos and all the other good stuff and engaging with all your friends. I would say that, and when I ran against the sitting state rep who was here recently, Mike Finn, their campaign wasn't really using social media at all. I was an unknown player. I was 28 at the time, and used social media heavily to put out kind of what we were doing. You know, we were working hard, but using it to make it look like we were working a lot harder than we were. And being all over the place, knocking doors. And the day of the election, I spoke with Rep. Finn afterwards, and he had said that his committee had told him that my campaign dominated Facebook that day and was everywhere. And one of the reasons, again, why we made the decision to rely heavily on social media in addition to regular grassroots, knocking doors, doing all that good stuff, standing out with signs, was because really everyone is on some platform of social media. Back then it was Facebook, Instagram, there was no TikTok, and Twitter was still Twitter. That's like, even your grandparents were probably on Facebook to see pictures of their grandkids or whatever was going on. So it was a great way to reach a lot of different people. That changed a lot, and I would say just campaigning generally changed a lot in 2016 after that election. Things got a lot more contentious. Back then, they don't exist anymore. The only forums were the mass live forums, and you could be anonymous, and kind of the conversations that happened on there were wild. I'm kind of glad they're gone too. At least you'd have a profile on Facebook. But that definitely changed, and I wish I could go back in time, and I'm sure you can on the internet figure it out, when kind of that specifically began to change, when the forums became a thing, and that drives a ton of conversation now, whether it be positive or negative. But it definitely changed a lot in 2016. A lot more people generally in campaigns, you know, see it all the time, are all over social media. And whether it's a positive or a negative, it overall is a great way to engage with people. And TikTok now is also a great way to engage with younger people. I often get asked, so I try to do, and this started around COVID when video content became more of a thing instead of just pictures. I will say one thing, no one, and you guys all probably, no one reads anything on the internet or wherever. So I have colleagues that will post these long 6-paragraph updates, and I may glance through it and now they can read it, and I'll text them like, that'd be a great video. And they're like, I don't know how you do the videos. Like, I see, I mean, just stand in front of your camera, you got a whiteboard behind you, you just talk. And again, even with videos, it's like 30 seconds, you're gonna have someone's attention. But just putting that out there consistently, and again, during COVID is when, you know, I found, even if you have nothing to say, as long as you're there saying, hey, no updates, I don't know what's going on either, people appreciate it and come back and continue to be more engaged and appreciate you and trust you as a leader and someone that is an opinion giver. So through that, through COVID, through videos, the content continues to grow, and we try, I would say it is difficult. So I do all my social media myself. It's difficult to get the people in town, and I mean that by my employees. And even though we've had a lot of turnover in town employment over the past 10 years, people are hesitant to put stuff on social media, worried they might get in trouble. So the town content isn't great. Like, and you'll see that a lot from, governors, senators, they have staff that does all that stuff. Even if you follow Governor Healy, they have like a TikTok staff that has them do all these dances and crap. I don't do any of that. I'd probably get more followers if I did. But if you have staff that does it, you'll see the content change. But kind of at the lower levels, most of us are all doing it ourselves and just trying to put consistent information out there of kind of what's going on and where they can find more information and trying to get more engagement in local government to put more information out there. It also, because one complaint we always have, I mean, I have it too, my colleagues have it the same, is that people aren't engaged kind of in the community. So, for example, the Board of Health has a lot of power and authority in West Springfield, but in any community. They have new tobacco regulations that came out. The state released them, I don't know, let's say a month or two ago. And in those tobacco regulations that are being adopted in communities across the state, it bans the sale of nicotine pouches in convenience stores. And, you know, nicotine pouches are a big thing. Everyone loves doing them. And they passed those, and I said, okay, well, that's fine. I'm going to hear from my friends that use that I golf with, that, what are you doing? You're crazy. But if you guys are down for it, what was the public feedback? Like, who came to speak and how many people signed up? And no one came. Like, okay, well, where did you post it that you were doing this and this was included? Oh, we just put it on the board outside town hall. I was like, think anyone actually looks at that? Like, they go to town hall and go, the Board of Health is tobacco. So they actually have their meeting again tomorrow night, and we made a concerted effort to put it out on social media. This is happening, this is specifically what's happening. And as I expected, I have friends that reached out to me being like, what the hell are you doing? But the idea is that now we'll see how many people actually show up to the meeting. Because what you see a lot is people love to post all the time, especially in the forums. But just on your posts or on social media, what their thoughts are and what they think you should be doing. But it's so rare to see people actually show up in person and speak. So what I've learned from that is, if you can make tough decisions and put the information out there and keep people informed, and they may call you an idiot on social media, but rarely they're going to show up in person unless it's really significant, and call you an idiot in person, which some still do. But at the same time is a lot of these things that, you know, I've been doing this 10 years now, that we think are going to blow up into these huge fiascos, that if you just keep people informed and engaged, even if they disagree with you, are still going to understand why the decision-making process happened and kind of generally be okay with it. That's kind of what I learned over 10 years of being, and not just social media. Social media, like I said, is a great tool, but trying to make sure, like, you have live streaming meetings. Meetings are live streamed, they're easy to find. Websites, a lot of content's on there. And while social media doesn't really, you still got to be out there and do, as I mentioned, the traditional things, be engaged, knock on doors, do all that fun stuff. But social media is a great way to amplify all those things that you're doing and showing the community that you're out and about. So I think I'm still the youngest mayor in Western Mass. And even after I've been doing it now for 10 years and trying to get my colleagues to be engaged and be on there, there's a lot of hesitation to be on social media and be engaged. And there are people that are out and about, they'll go to the basketball games, they'll go to a potluck, they'll do whatever, but there's a reluctance to put that on social media. And I think some of that comes from the negative feedback that you get when people post, because they'll post like, oh, why did you give yourself a raise? That's ridiculous. And you just kind of ignore that stuff. Because overall, I think people are generally happy with what's going on, not just in West Springfield, but Westfield and everywhere else. You don't think so? But I think people are generally happy, and when you're putting that stuff out there and engaging with them, they'll usually let you know that they kind of like what you're doing. But before I go on, any questions on any of that stuff?
Are there any questions, comments, concerns for Mayor Reichelt? Irene Mahida?
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for coming down to speak to us. My first question for you is, how as you as a former OWL can encourage us student leaders as well as OWLs here at Westfield State be a part of the West Springfield community but not just helping out in the education system, but like the Westfield community itself, like across the board.
What do you mean?
Just like integrating ourselves, making us known as a school, but also like as a student body and also a student government. What do you recommend we do?
In Westfield, in like Westfield?
No, West Springfield, because it's important to spread our wings outside of the Westfield community and go beyond.
What are you guys doing so far?
Soup kitchen, legislative breakfast.
Yeah, I gotta say, the legislative breakfast was great. I'm kind of jealous because we had one a week later last Friday.
I saw after.
And there were only like 2 legislators there. I'm sorry. And I was away, so I couldn't be upset. And my chief of staff stood in for me, and she texted me and said, "There's only 2." I'm like, "Oh, Westfield State." Well, it was the week before school vacation, which I said probably isn't the best time to do it. But that was great. I would say getting more involved specifically in West Springfield. I'm sorry. Chamber events are great too. The parish cover, I assume, is what the soup kitchen you're mentioning.
As a point of information for the mayor,
Yeah.
what's it called? We as a body have committed to one of our key initiatives being committed to civic engagement, which I shared with you. And in that commitment, we've done things like, the legislative breakfast, et cetera, but we've really focused on giving back to communities, specifically the Westfield community, because we're right there. I think that what really is trying to bridge, I guess, is the gap between West Springfield and Westfield, because we are aware that a large portion of the student body that does come here is from the surrounding towns of Agawam, West Springfield, Westfield, Springfield, Holyoke. So making those opportunities more available is definitely one of the things that we hope to expand in the coming years. So we work with the Westfield Soup Kitchen to provide 2 meals a semester and so on and so forth. We worked last semester to have our most successful turkey drive yet and gave back to the Westfield Public Schools District. So things like that we typically do to stay civically engaged with our peers and also our own communities. And that's really, I think, the basis of Ruini's question.
I would say that all sounds awesome with what you're doing in Westfield, and if you wanted to be expanding to West Springfield or any other, doing those same things in that community would be a great way to do it. Kind of looking back, I was thinking, what would I do next if I wasn't going to be mayor? And for those watching, I am running again, and I'd rather run unopposed. But what I would do, I've been out of law per se so long, 10 years, and I only practiced for about 3 after I graduated. It'd be hard for me to go back into law specifically, and I never enjoyed transactional law, so like contracts, closings, all that stuff. I wanted to be in the courtroom. That was my goal. So for me to be out of the courtroom for so long would be difficult for me to get back into it. So I just thought if I didn't do this, I would go into consulting of some form, lobbying, but working with newer candidates of what you do and how you get your name out there. And I learned kind of just doing it on my own of showing up at the homework school drive to back to school supplies for people and just chatting with people, or the PTO dinners or whatever it is. The chamber events, just being in town and chatting with people kind of drives that, and then posting on social media. Kind of drives that so people know who you are and can say, "Oh yeah, that kid, I met him last week and I had a nice conversation with him," and that kind of builds the process as well. So even if it's a couple events here they get popped into, and we're from Westfield State and this is what we're doing, it'll build on its own.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, comments, concerns for Mayor Reichelt? Christopher Lannon.
Hi, Mayor Reichelt. Thank you for coming down. I just want to say thank you for everything you do, and I posed this question to Mayor McCabe to see what he had to say. West Springfield is a very diverse town, both socially and politically. I think it was Dan who mentioned over the break that President Trump won West Springfield by 7 or 10 votes?
6.
6, yeah. So it's a very close margin. So how do you manage such a politically diverse town? And to those who may not agree with everything the new administration is doing, what do you say to them, and how are you there to support them?
So West Side's unique in that it's always kind of been 50-50, and this is the first time in, at least since I've been there, but probably since 2004, the Republican candidate won the community. It's always been very close, usually by a point or two. Biden won by over 1,000 votes. And, there's a lot of talk of like a red shift that happened, everywhere, not just West Springfield. But a lot of it, in like looking at the West Springfield data afterwards, was that the 1,200 people that voted for Biden in 2020 just didn't vote in 2024. We also had a significantly larger, so it looks like a smaller percentage voted. We had a larger percentage of, or a larger amount of actually registered voters, and a lot of that comes from automatic voter registration that happened in between 2020 and 2024. But in reality, 1,200 or so voters stayed home and chose not to vote. So, how I've managed it in town, in 2015 when I first ran, I was only asked a handful of times if I was a Democrat or Republican. And I'm independent and have said, I'm not involved in party politics in the community, in the state. My goal is just to make sure the community is a great place to live, work, and play. And part of that has been knowing that the community is 50-50. And no one really cared back then. Like, it wasn't a big thing. It's just usually a couple people joking around when they ask. But it's definitely become more of a thing now, post 2016. And kind of how we deal with it, it'll certainly be a difficult 4 years. It was a difficult 4 years from 2016 to 2017 to 2020, just because there's so much stuff happening and there's a lot of expectation that everyone's going to react to it and have a statement to say. And kind of partly how we dealt with it back then is kind of see what happens, and we're going to be here to protect our residents and our community. And I can't really comment on the who knows stuff, because who knows. An example would be like the funding thing that happened 2 weeks ago. I don't know how long it was ago, when they were going to pull the federal funding. It's like, well, what's going to happen in West Springfield? Well, I have no idea. And I don't know, I don't think they know what's going to happen either, because no one can really answer our questions of, how our Title I grant's going to work for our schools. No one really knows. And that's super frustrating. But at the same time, we can only work within the parameters that we have, and along with our state partners, and make sure that the community is out looking after for its community members.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, comments, concerns for Mayor Reichelt? Ethan Haynes?
Thank you for coming down, and thank you for everything you do for West Springfield. I work out there on Riverdale. In Pete Buttigieg's book, he mentions a mayor's biggest enemy is the pothole. And as mayor, I'm guessing that's the same, especially out in Massachusetts. So if someone has a accident or any damage to their car due to a pothole, what does West Springfield offer to them?
Do you have a damage?
I have.
If it happened in Riverdale, it's a state road, so you'll have to do this.
Morgan Road, my front tire popped. It's where I get that 350 back. No, it's all good.
We do have, so I'd say Mayor Pete is right. It certainly, you talk about, the taxes, they go up a little bit this year. Unfortunately, things didn't work out great. We talk about a lot of times, people are talking about taxes and whatever these larger concepts are. Everyone hates paying taxes. I understand that. But what people care about most when you're knocking on their doors and talk to them is the potholes in their road, or Morgan, which needs to get repaved, and it's on the list this year.
Thank you.
Or the tree in their front yard that never got cut down and no one gets back to them, or the sidewalk that's heaving and why aren't you replacing it? Those are all the things that matter to people far more than, they're going to complain about the tax bill. They're going to complain no matter what you do with their taxes. For the first 7 years, we never raised them. Something I would never do again, because when we had to finally raise them, it was a larger increase than we wanted. But no one ever gave me an attaboy for not raising their taxes. And when you raise them a little bit, everyone wants to tar and feather you. So yeah, it's a challenge, and especially now with the rates and everything increasing, it's a challenge. But it is definitely those things that affect them every day that matters the most, and what I hear about the most. And specifically for your issue, if you shoot an email to the town clerk, Otto Frizzell, OFRIZZELL@TOWS.org, we have a form that you can fill out and then submit back, and we send it to our insurance.
Thank you.
I can't promise it'll get.
No, you need the best answer.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns for Mayor Reichelt?
Joseph Bonilla.
Thank you for coming down, Mayor Reichelt. We appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts on, just like civic engagement, but also, you being in your role. I specifically have one question. How do you foster an engaged community? You talk about how people do give you feedback and how, going to those chamber events is what you call them are important because you're fostering that community. So how do you develop and foster that own community in West Springfield?
I would say one thing we try to do, and I can say some of my biggest faults sometimes are not doing more of it, but it's really like kind of forcing community engagement in the sense of like, so if I know we're going to have something controversial coming up, we'll do a press release, we'll announce it, and then we'll say, hey, we're going to have a community forum. So actually, I got to go back to town hall tonight. My council's meeting at 7, and we're proposing to buy a piece of land behind town hall, the Walgreens that's closing behind town hall, and ideally we'll build a new police station there. And that comes after 2 ideas that I thought were pretty good, which was to buy. We had a public safety facilities feasibility study done pre-COVID. Our police stations was built in town hall in the 70s. Obviously, the community has changed vastly from the 70s to now. The needs of the community have changed. The size of the police force has changed. The police station has not changed. So it's difficult for, struggling now to recruit public safety. It's hard for them to come in and be like, this is where I'm going to work. And we had this feasibility study done, and I should have known when you have a feasibility study done. They told us that they should put the police station where our DPW is, like right up the street, which sounds great. They said, now I need a new home for my DPW. And West Springfield is a bit unique in the sense of it's surrounded by 5 other cities, and for the most part, it is built out. There's not a lot of open land left that we want to use as public facility. So the first spot was there was this perfectly centrally located old, I want to say it's a farm. They grew flowers, about an 8-acre parcel of land, perfect size, right in the center of town, right off Riverdale, right up the street from Riverdale. And I had known the owners. We got a purchase and sale. We were going to buy it. We said, we really should. I talked to the councilors. We should really have a conversation with the community, see what the community thinks. So we posted it. The place was packed, and everyone thought it was a terrible idea. So then we canceled that. Went to buy the church's property up on Brush Hill, which is also off Riverdale. 35-acre parcel, same price, great idea. Community forum, terrible idea. So, when it comes, and it's been kind of consistent in that people know that we do these things, we want to hear from them. And, if everyone comes up and tells me that I'm wrong, I'm more than happy to say, okay, yeah, that's not the way the community wants to go. We'll go in a different direction. So I think that it would be different if we had a community forum. I said, excellent. You all hate me. You all think it's wrong. I'm going to do it anyway. It would be hard to get consistent engagement and feedback if we weren't kind of listening to what people have to say. But I would say one thing that drives that engagement is you got to have something controversial going on because we did a tax increase in November and not a single person showed up in the meeting. So I would say it's difficult kind of timing things when it's something that matters for people. That will certainly get people to show up. We just did we're going to build a peanut roundabout in town. There's none around here, so there's one in New Haven if you want to try that one out. I have. But it's just an elongated roundabout. Everyone apparently in the state, in West Springfield at least, hates roundabouts. So that was a pretty full meeting. That one, right? We're going to do that anyways. But and then putting the information out on social, using social media as a tool to get people to show up at the meeting has been useful, and part of it has been controversial stuff too. But I have not, and unfortunately, I don't have an answer of how to get people consistently engaged in regular public meetings. And I'll hear from, West Springfield's a newer city. It became a city in 2001, and back before that, we had town meeting, 350 elected members of town meeting, and I don't have. I should probably look this up if I can find it. I don't have the attendance records of town meeting. I do remember watching my father, who was on the finance committee back then, and it was at our old high school's auditorium, which was good size, and it was usually full. And people will tell me now, I wish we still had town meeting because I would go and speak. Now that you can still go and speak. There's nothing stopping you. And I don't know if it was maybe they felt more engaged because they were elected member of town meeting. I don't have the answer to that, but I will say if it's controversial, people will usually show up.
Thank you, appreciate that. If there are no further questions, see, Ali Sutherland?
Good evening, sir. Thank you for coming out. In my poverty and hunger class, we had 2 people from different areas come and talk with us about poverty. One was that Dave Christopoulos from the Hill Towns, and then Ann Lantini from, what's your last name, from Westfield, trying to do different things about housing and trying to essentially make it still feasible for the elders of the population and giving affordable housing to people. What are some things that you've either considered in regards to poverty and housing and or bringing people from outside communities into West Springfield? For example, Mayor McCabe mentioned that they had like a hot market for their housing, which was difficult for when the elders are trying to move out or downsize their housing. What are some of the things that you're thinking about in regards to housing, especially with everything that's going on, or things that you have found challenging with trying to address housing?
Thank you, Ali.
So I'll start with something that we find challenging when we try to address housing. For one, there is, for whatever reason, I don't know, it's cultural, but a dislike of higher density housing, and whether that be apartments or condos. I mentioned I was on the planning board years ago. We had a time where over 55 condo developments were very hot. We did 5 of them in West Springfield, I believe. One is finally being built now. And, I don't remember what happened, maybe something in the law changed in the state, but there were 5 of them that, was like one after another, was buying up old farmland and putting in high density over 55 development communities. And a lot of the pushback to them was, once the population of over 55 is like aged out, because each generation kind of has less people in it, it's going to be a high density, more people housing. And I remember in the planning board, it's like, okay, well, that's a big assumption, but even if it's high density housing and they lose their over 55, they're still expensive, and it'll be great to have that housing because we need housing. Right. And building our way out of a housing crisis with, McMansions on 1 acre lots isn't going to work. Right. And West Springfield, as I mentioned, is unique in being land built out. We don't have any more land for subdivisions. They just did 3 more probably in the past 4 years, like poking them into places that they could barely fit. The neighbors get all worked up. And I completely understand it because you live next to this forest forever, which was private, and you assumed, probably wrongly, that it was somehow protected. Now all of a sudden it's clear cut and there's 6 McMansions going on it. So, trying to get people to understand that like missing middle housing, they call it, like higher density housing is the answer. I don't have an answer for that, because if you watch what's happening with that new housing production, or the MBTA bill that happened 2 years ago in Boston, where it was essentially mandated that if you were X amount of miles from an MBTA line, you had to change your zoning to allow for high density housing around the MBTA line. And a lot of communities out near Boston, near these MBTA lines, are affluent communities who consistently voted against it. They had to take them, they lost in court. So some of the things got struck down, but some of the things they have to do, there's very much this dislike of higher density housing that could help us address a lot of these issues. We had an apartment complex that was proposed 3 or 4 years ago. And it was a New Jersey developer. I met with the developer, I met with their local attorney, and I thought it was a great idea. It was going to be like 150 units. Average rent was going to be like $2,000, so they're not crappy apartments. And my council unanimously voted against it. And the feedback I got, and also unfortunately some misinformed people got the community over there riled up, and there's going to be all this traffic and all these negative consequences are going to happen. And the other side, the developer didn't They said, what are you gonna do to address it? They said, we'll put up a stop sign, and I was cringing in the back row, being like, oh, we talked about doing more. But kind of, overcoming that fear that if we build a higher density building in your area, it's not gonna be terrible. And unfortunately, we have some higher density apartment complexes in town that are not great. And that's it's the fault of the landlords, and we're trying to work with that. But unfortunately, and I know it's not unique to West Springfield, but there's this misconception that, high density housing is automatically gonna mean poor neighborhoods. And until we kind of get around that, I don't see, we can build as many houses as we want, but there's only so much land that we keep building. So the new thing is like these ADUs that are allowed by right. West Springfield trying to change that like 2 decades ago and got voted down. I had thought about like maybe we could do this, because the one thing we run into is like people kind of do them without permits. They build in a lot of apartments so their family can move in and their kids can move in or whatever. And they go to sell it, they don't have the permits. Our building inspector is brutal. It forces them to like rip everything out because you can't have it. And I get it, it's illegal, it's not allowed. So making it allowed by right, like essentially is what the governor did with the housing production bond bill, will force every community to allow it now. So we'll see, that's not gonna get us out of a housing crisis, but it will certainly help, it'll help seniors maybe that, back to your early part about downsizing, an issue we're having. So very controversial last year, we voted to close one of our schools, smaller schools, like a neighborhood walking school. Part of the reason is the enrollment's down so much. Our enrollment is generally down for students, but it's been down very much in this school. In this school, it's kind of in a more working class neighborhood, but people aren't moving out. So, if they want to downsize, there's nothing to downsize to. So yeah, they could sell their house for, let's say, $400,000, but there's nothing to buy. One, there's no supply in town to buy. Even if you want to buy it, there's no house to downsize to. So why are you gonna leave? You just stay there. So you're not turning the housing over to a newer family that could be there in their price point to start a family and their kids are gonna go to school. You're just not moving. And seniors, there is no senior housing. Like we have a school that we decommissioned in the center of town, which I think would make beautiful condos or apartments, but now there's no money for it because it's historic, so you gotta redo the inside, but there's no money to be found to do this. And like Wayfinders in Springfield has done a great job putting different projects together and did a great job in Agawam, but they did a high density housing job in Agawam, and the amount of, I thank them not part of the Agawam forum, but the amount of negativity that surrounded it before it even broke ground was incredible. So it's difficult for local leaders to, it's easier for a private company to come in and do what essentially is a 40B. So in zoning, it's, if you don't have X amount of housing, affordable housing in your town, they can come in and essentially waive some of your regulations. And as long as they have 25% of the apartments or housing units are affordable, they get away with a lot more. And a lot of times it's easier for a community to do that. I've talked to a couple that said, yeah, have at it, we don't have 10%. And it's difficult for even for counselors to sit up there and get screamed at about how you're gonna destroy the community, to wanna continue in office and kind of balance that out. It's difficult. So I unfortunately, like for West Springfield specifically, I don't really have an answer on kind of how we can fix it besides being okay with high density housing. And I don't think we're there yet.
Thank you. Dominic Psycho?
Hello, thank you for joining us. Joseph has mentioned that you have helped with, I believe it was first responders or fire service being funded more. And as someone who currently works in that service area, I'm wondering what you have done better, because as we all know, there's a shortage of firefighters and EMTs. What have you done differently to help kind of offset that difficulty?
As a point of information, fire safety was determined.
So I would say we haven't had as much, so kind of the fire services and police are two, in a lot of ways, we have completely different issues. Where in the fire service, it's very much, and I think police used to be this way, but it's a different job. It's very much kind of in the family in a sense, where we have right now like 3 generations of of family members that still serve for the fire department. And it was before my time, but at some point we mandated that every new member of the fire department has to be a paramedic. So ideally, we would love to hire paramedics. They can just get on the ambulance right away, and we don't have to pay for them to go to school. But it's almost unheard of now to hire a paramedic. Like we call a statewide list, and maybe get 1 or 2 people from like the Boston area that are on the list, and they don't want to come on here and work in Western Mass because they can probably name the department they want to go work at. So now what we do is we recruit. So you take it civil service, take the fire test, you get on, if we call for a residence list, you get on, usually you should be an EMT, and then we pay for you to go to paramedic school. And then, I mean, overall, especially the fire department, you have to be a paramedic and ride the ambulance, which is difficult because in a lot of ways, we're shifting away from being kind of a fire department and more of an emergency kind of an ambulance service. I would say it's like 70-30 in ambulance calls to fire calls. You know, the years leading up to COVID, we didn't have a single fire. And then COVID happened and we had like 4 fires a year, which is wild. But it's a lot of work for the people that are riding the ambulance. Do you ride the ambulance?
Yes.
Yeah, it's brutal. If you're working 24-hour shifts and you got an ambulance, we went from 1.5 ambulances in service when I started to 2 fully in service, a third, basically 3 ambulances are in service, and when the ladder comes off. But we have 5 ambulances total because they're just constantly running, and we used to take mutual aid more than we gave it to Agawam and probably Westfield too, and now we're the ones that are constantly sending mutual aid. And that's a balance we have with the surrounding communities where they may not want to staff up because they have us, and we're constantly running and beating down our guys too. So we don't have an answer yet of how we fix that, but recruitment-wise, it hasn't been bad. We've been able to recruit a lot, and it's us paying for them to go to paramedic school and making sure that it's a career that, once you're in, you do your 32 years and you're able to retire with a full pension. So it's been tough, but police-wise, that's a whole different story. It's almost, and we came out of civil service and it's still very difficult to recruit.
Thank you very much, Mayor Reichelt. All right, well, thank you so much, Mayor Reichelt. Please join me in giving him another round of applause. Well, this is super exciting. I don't have much left for my report, so I'll turn it over to questions.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Joseph Bonilla? Seeing none. Thank you, Joseph.
And for the next couple of minutes, I will appoint Ethan as vice chair of this meeting. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you, Joseph. And now for your Board of Trustees report, Daniel Courier.
Good evening, everybody. This week into next week, we are excited to bring 5 finalists to campus in our search for the next administrative assistant for the Department of Student Activities Involvement and Leadership. For those unaware, for the past several years, Maureen Halloran has served as sales administrative assistant and has recently retired, leaving a vacancy in the position. The person holding the administrative assistant position is responsible for handling the financial transactions of the sales department, managing online calendars and scheduling rooms for student organizations, and assisting in preparing documents for SGA's meetings. We will be looking to make a hiring decision by the end of next week and onboard the new candidate ideally sometime after spring break to ensure a smooth transition. The sales department at the same time is also hiring for an evening programming coordinator that will work to enhance the student experience. This is an exciting time for the sales department as we onboard 2 new team members. The next meeting of the Board of Trustees will be taking place this Thursday, February 20th in the Owl's Nest, right across the hall. Our schedule for the day and the matters to be discussed per publicly posted agendas are as follows. The audit committee will be meeting from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. We will vote on accepting our single audit report. That's a report of all of our federal expenditures. Entertain a motion regarding the release of student directory information. That's going to be the motion that we present at the audit committee meeting. And hear updates regarding our internal audit of building security and future internal audit of accounts payable. The Academic Affairs Committee will be meeting from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We will hear from Provost Salka about how the university will spend recently appropriated Success Fund dollars and vote on transmitting to the Board of Higher Education 3 degree programs for consideration, a Master of Science in Athletic Training, Master of Arts in History, and Master of Science in Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner Studies. The Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee will be meeting from 10:15 to 10:45. We will hear from the Office of Belonging, Inclusion, and Learning about the hiring of new staff and new initiatives in the office. The Advancement Marketing and External Relations Committee will meet from 10:45 to 11:45. We'll hear updates from Dr. Leslie Rice on university marketing before hearing from Vice President Lisa McMahon about fundraising, our capital campaign, alumni engagement, and much more. The Enrollment Management and Student Affairs Committee will be meeting from 12:45 to 1:45. We will hear from Vice President Hearn about admissions numbers for spring 25 and early results for fall 25, along with an update on strategic enrollment planning. Junior Delgado from the Career Center will present on his office's work during our meeting as well. The Financial Affairs Committee will be from 2 to 3:30. We will, among other things, vote on the schedule of tuition and fee charges for the fiscal year 2026. You heard about the proposed increases at our last meeting. And finally, the full board meeting will be taking place from 3:30 to 5. I'll present my student trustee report during this meeting. I will highlight our work to address the deferred maintenance crisis, engage with local leaders, build community and retain students, support our local residents, and note upcoming events. I hope to see many of you watching our proceedings in person, since it is conveniently located across the hall. If you will not be on campus this coming Thursday, but would like to tune in, you can do so at westfield.ma.edu/live. And should you have any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns for Daniel Courier? Ethan Haynes?
Hi, Dan. Just a quick question. I believe I saw some flyers up for an event that would feature a trustee. Is that still going on, and where can students find more information?
Yes, thank you, Ethan. This is not in my role as student trustee, but there is an event going on Thursday with Trustee Gilmer, who is the CFO of Act Blue. There are flyers around. Please scan the QR code. We have 50 seats currently filled. We have 20 more seats still to give out. If you do want a nice free dinner this coming Thursday, please give it a try. RSVP.
Thank you, Deb. Are there any further questions, comments, concerns for Daniel Courier? Christopher Lannon?
Hi, sorry, that was last time. I was just wondering with the new administrative assistant position as well as the evening program coordinator, since this is a position that is being we have finalists for, are we going to have the opportunity for open forums like we did with Dr. Hearn, with Provost Salka? I know for someone like me that worked closely with Maureen under my role as class treasurer, that was very important. So I was just wondering if we're going to have that.
Matt, would you want to maybe answer as the hiring manager in this case?
Yeah, for these two positions, we're not doing broad open forums. For the coordinator search, we did have a student interview component and had students on the committee, and that search is in the final stages. And for the administrative assistant, we stuck to the direct student leaders that are within sales, so the executive boards of SGA, of CAB, the social media team, and the work study students who would work for that administrative assistant.
Thank you. Are there any further? Seeing none, thank you, Dad. And now for your Vice President's report of student life, Justin Wall.
All right, hello everybody. So this is a bit in advance, but I thought I'd get it to everybody now. So this year, we're doing a student government team for the Relay for Life that the Campus Activities Board is doing, and it's the second year. It's a very amazing event. I'm very excited about it personally. I wasn't one of the people that walked the whole time last time, but I did walk for a good amount of time, and it was very fun just to hang out with friends and walk around and talk with everybody. But this year, the Student Government Association is proud to support Relay for Life. And as a group of dedicated student leaders, we all strive to make an impact both on and off campus, and that is exactly what this is. I don't really have much, but I'm trying to assemble a full team. So hopefully as many of you as can do it. If you can't actually walk during the event, which is March 22nd, if you can't walk on the event and you want to donate money, you could do that as well. You could share the link. There is the QR code going around if you want to join the team, which I've set up and I'm going to start advertising soon. But if you want to share the link with family, friends, anybody, get them to donate, or if you want to donate yourself, or if you want to walk. I will try and be there the whole day as a little challenge for myself. So if anybody wants to join me with that for the is it 12 hours, Matt?
Yes, 11 to 11.
Beautiful. So if anybody wants to join me from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on March 22nd, I will be there. So if you want to struggle with me in walking that entire time, yeah, you're free to join because it'll be really fun and we can all talk about anything, get to know each other better, a little bit of team bonding, and I think it'll be amazing for us.
Thank you, Justin. Are there any questions, comments, concerns for Justin Wald? Irene Mahida?
Just a comment, let's hope the weather's better this year so we can actually walk back and not freeze in freezing rain.
Are there any further? Shannon Green?
So there's gonna be other things happening at the walk, so there'll be a bunch of activities that'll be happening down there as well. So your photo booths, your games, there'll be a live DJ, there'll be competitions every hour so that there'll be opportunities for you all to win prizes. So owl bucks, I think we're gonna try to do whatever student run or walks the most steps in the day. We're gonna try to donate, or you can enter into a raffle to get a pair of purple Converse sneakers. So we're trying to beef it up a little bit so that if it's not your time to walk or you're tired, Matt will have all those cushy chairs everywhere. We've got bags and luminaries that will be in the residence halls for you all to decorate. So there'll be a lot of activities happening at the time that you're actually walking. So even if you're like, I need to take a break and I need a snack from one of the wonderful snacks that will be there, there'll be plenty to do. So please just sign up and join. If you aren't able, because there is a registration fee, I believe. Yeah, I think that's what it fees today.
I think it's for the group.
What?
I think it's like the registration fee for the group.
Yeah, when you pay the registration fee, you automatically get a t-shirt, so you'll have a shirt to walk. The Cancer Society provides that to you. But if you aren't able to afford that and you need, you're not sure what team to join outside of SGA, or if you have other pieces, just talk to Matt or I, and we'll be able to kind of help and assist with that.
I will also say I'm working with the two people in CAB to try and get more teams to go through. So there will be, hopefully, when I send the email to Ryan, an alumni team, and I also am going to reach out to the person who works. Does Nick work with you?
He's going to do it all that.
Yes. See, it's already perfect. And then I also talked to them. I was like, Maggie gave me some lovely suggestions for other teams, so I forwarded that to them, so they could reach out. So hopefully this year we can raise the 15,000. Is that the goal?
Red Life is the reigning champs with donations.
How much?
How much? Because he knocked our team out, so I'm really beefing with John right now. So it all goes to a great cause, and it's just a fun day to support people and just to spend time with each other as a community. So come out, it'd be great.
John, get me that number and we'll have a competition between us. Yeah.
We can look it up.
Okay, beautiful.
I will look it up.
Thank you. All right, so to be followed up on. Did you have anything else on that?
Well, someone said almost everything I was going to say.
I tend to do that.
But I will add that student government can enter the campsite competition and decorate an area for your organization to win a pizza and boneless wings and gluten-free option of your choice party.
Thank you.
The campsite is inside, so we're walking inside, but we'll set up similar to what you do for homecoming, where we'll have the tent, like little square sites, so you can decorate and do all sorts of stuff for your team.
So we're gonna win, right?
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any further? Dominic Zecco?
As an Ari, I'm conflicted because I want to stay with the reigning champs, but I also want to join SGA.
So what I'd say to that, as the vice president of student life who works with Res Life very closely, and I love all of them dearly, our team is better. I'm just gonna say that, but I don't think John heard that, so I think we're okay. You can choose whichever team you'd like. I mean,
Beautiful. Are there any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, thank you, Justin. And now for your Food Services Committee report, Angelina Casella.
Hey guys, the dining committee met this past Friday, February 14th at 1:40 p.m. We had a very productive first meeting back. We discussed the beloved ice cream machine, which I know all of you have been thinking about. The new machine will be here soon. It is on its way. It's on its way. We plan to put it next to the cereal bar where the coffee used to be. And we plan to also have special toppings and flavors in the future, like themes, like Sunday themes and stuff like that. Next, I'm happy to report that all fish is being freshly sourced, and the grill station has also added some additions, including chicken tenders, which have been great, and then a new food each week to freshen up the station. And then also keep a lookout for the new pasta tosses and upcoming food displays because they've been really, really good. And then on to drinks. In the marketplace, there will be a new soda drink called Poppy. It is probiotic, local, and delicious with many fun flavors. And it'll be sold for $2.49 in only the marketplace. In the DC, we recently hosted coffee vendors and got a lot of student feedback. We will be sending out a survey to pick our favorite coffee to add to the DC. So look out for that. It's coming out this next week. And then for Ely Harvest and the Owl Cafe, they have been selling a lot of new special drinks, including peach smoothies and chai lattes. So if you guys have any ideas, you can bring it to them. They love making new specials. Coming up, some events in the DC. We just had the Valentine's Day dinner this past Friday. It was really awesome. They had chocolate-covered strawberries. I was very excited. Anyways, some new upcoming events are Wednesday, February 26th. The DC will be hosting a Black History Month dinner. Tuesday, March 4th, there will be a Mardi Gras dinner. And March 17th, they'll be hosting a St. Patty's Day dinner. And then a little bit later, April 3rd, there will be another student craft show, but instead of 10 vendors, it'll be 12. And then lastly, some general updates. The DC is fully staffed. Yay, yippee. And then they will also be open over spring break from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., but no swipes, so you will have to pay for your meal. The DC is working towards getting students' preferred names on the Get app because due to an update, it kind of reverted back, but they're going around trying to fix that. And they're also trying to fix the NutraSlice and TVs being updated throughout the day. And then finally, we hope to see tofu back in the bistro and with more consistency. And that concludes my updates. I hope everyone has a fabulous day and make sure to do some self-care. It's very important.
Thank you so much, Angelina. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Irina Mahida?
Hey, Angelina. I just wanted to say you're doing a great job with your report. Super consistent, so to the point. Props to you. My question for you is, are they gonna do the chicken tenders weekly? Like, what's the frequency of those coming out for all of us who love chicken tenders?
So I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's gonna be kind of like how they switch out like the chicken patties and the grilled chicken, and then chicken tenders is gonna be like, so like kind of every few days.
Oh, good. So, thank you.
Thank you. Christopher Lannon?
Hi, Angelina. Hi, I just wanted to thank you for what you're doing on this committee, especially now with the Get App and the preferred name change. And also, since Sarah's not here, congrats on your first report.
I think this is your second report.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay.
Sophia Rubincheck?
You mentioned Marketplace, has that been relocated?
No, they have been looking at a lot of new places to put it, but obviously like there's really not a lot of space, so they're really just trying to work with like the master plan to try and get a new area. But for right now, it's still gonna be in the same place, but they are looking on revamping it over the summer.
Oh, I see, okay.
Thank you. Any further? Seeing none, thank you so much, Angelina. And now for your Vice President's Report of Finance, Daniel Courier.
It's 2 years ago. Anyway, good evening, everyone. Just to note before I start this report, Austin wrote it. He put in a few jokes. So he said, "It's me, Dan Owlcam," which is my nickname from some people in this room. The Finance Committee met last Thursday to discuss a proposal from the Yarn Club. They are looking for funds to purchase yarn for club supplies. The amount they requested was $350. You should have the paper in front of you and also on Teams. But the committee voted unanimously to recommend the allocation amount of $500, seeing as their club is fairly new and plans to donate some of the items they make in the future. This recommendation requires a 2/3 majority vote, seeing as the committee amended the proposal amount. There is around $35,000 left in our allocation pool. So therefore, is there a motion to amend the proposal to $500?
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions, comments, concerns on this motion?
Joseph Lanier?
Hi, Dan. I hope that someone from finance is in here. Okay, great. Could one of you provide the rationale on the additional 150, please?
Yes, so, given we have, 35,000 left. And we figured that these items are going to be donated to nursing homes, to the elderly, to the kids. We figured that if they want to spend a little bit more on the event, and they have no money in their account right now. So we figured that we would give them the 500 to kind of get them over that hump of, I'm losing my thoughts. Get them over the hump of, you know, what they may want to do for the event, that they thought that maybe 350 was more of just like being realistic, whereas 500 is really what they could use.
So as a follow-up, what's it called? Just to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Did they express that they wanted to spend an additional 150 for additional items and they
No.
reduced it, or was that just a suggestion to add 150?
That was a suggestion I made, given the circumstances. And also for the new members on Finance Committee, I recommend you abstain since you already voted on Thursday.
Okay, Danny Berger?
Yeah, this is a question from my end. So as you may know, SGA announced the $100 block grant. So I'm trying to just think about, I mean, I can definitely see a need, but was there anything expressed in that meeting about the $100 block grant and how they would propose to Austin to use it?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
If, is Ethan here? They did not, no.
Okay. Justin Wald?
I think, do we have a breakdown of the vote? Was it unanimous by the committee to recommend?
It was unanimous.
Yes, and just as a preface for everyone, sorry, thank you. Just for everyone, I agree with Dan, there's nothing wrong with us giving more money than what was asked for. I just want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible, and like Dan mentioned, thank you for mentioning that we do have the $100 block grant, which would be that supplemental fund that y'all suggested. So if we went around doing this for every kind of club that, you know, like let's say the First Responders Club wants to purchase $300 worth of food, and you're like, you know what, we're gonna give you another $100. It's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable model. So, you know, obviously, I just want to make sure that everyone's making a decision based off of the facts. And they did ask for 350, so I'm just kind of wondering where that suggestion came from. Are there any further? You reading Mahida?
When was the block grant instated or installed?
The 31st.
Oh, so that's recently.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any further? Cody Hosington?
I know we don't have a lot of people here today, so
Yeah.
should we still be making a vote?
Do you have a motion?
So to your point, you're allowed to motion to postpone, but we do have 50+1 quorum, so we are able to make a vote. Did you want to make a motion?
No, I was just making a suggestion.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we should be voting.
Yeah, per our constitution, if we have 50% of the body here +1, we're able to do votes. Thank you. Justin Wald?
This is more just like a little comment. The block grants were announced during the State of the Campus, but I will say, from what I recall, there were only 2 or 3 club leaders there, one of them being Lorraine, so, and Angelina.
I think we sent out a meeting.
Did we? I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
I sent it to Matt.
So maybe they just don't know about the
Yeah.
block grant, which we could, in the end, help them, and they would just need to reach out to Austin, or Austin can reach out to them. So we could just postpone the vote until next week, unless there's some outstanding, like this is time sensitive or anything.
I do not believe it's time sensitive.
Because I think having Austin here would be better.
So just to make sure that we're streamlining things and not overcompensating in the conversation, I can't make a recommendation to amend the vote, but I would suggest someone recommend to do the full amendment of 350. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hi, I have a question. So the things that Yarn Club is donating is like what, like sweaters? Like how many sweaters are they trying to make to donate for allocation of extra funds for donation?
Do you have a point of
Point of information, I am in Yarn Club, so very, very lovely. We are currently making scarves, like mittens, little things like that. So yeah, it will be like sweaters, scarves, mittens, things like that, so.
Cool.
All right, so is there are we cool with moving forward with the motion of $500? Or is there an amendment to that motion? Seeing none, are there any further questions, comments, concerns on the motion? Matt DeLeo.
To answer Justin's question, it is not time sensitive. The reason they put this request in is that the president of the club has been buying yarn from her personal account all year because they did not know that there was money for it. So I just wanted to clarify, not time sensitive, but that's the reason that they're asking.
Another point of information, she's been using all of her own personal items and all of her, she provides all the yarn, she provides all the stuff from her own money, so all of it is completely funded by one person. Just as a point of information.
All right, are there any further? All right, let's move to voting on the motion. All in favor of approving $500 for the yarn club? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
As always, if you need Austin, email him at vpfinance.sga@westfield.ma.edu.
All right, are there any questions, comments, concerns for our trustee VP Finance? Seeing none, thank you, Dan.
Go Birds.
And then, all right, and then for our Vice President's report of publicity, we don't have Elizabeth here, so we're going to move forward. And we also don't have Jacob here, so parliamentarian report, Ethan Haynes. Oh, rules and regs.
Hey. All right, so this one's going to sound very familiar to last week's report from me. Good evening. The Rules and Regulations Committee met on Wednesday, February 5th to discuss business. We reviewed 3 constitutions, the Greenhouse and Gardens Club, which has been extremely patient with this process, the Occupational Therapy Assistant Club, and the dance company who is up for renewal this year. The committee recommends approval for all 3 of these constitutions, as all of them have very minor errors in the form of bolding, subsections being in the wrong spot, and safety waivers not being on the home page. You should have all gotten an email from me, I believe it was Monday night, of all these items, or Sunday night, one of those 2, so you've had those 24 hours to review. Thank you, Dan. So therefore, I am asking for a motion to approve the Greenhouse and Gardens Club of Westfield State University.
Is there a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, concerns on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, and all 3 clubs are approved.
Oh, that was just for the one club.
Oh.
We gotta do each club.
Which club?
So that's Greenhouse Gardens.
Greenhouse and Gardens Club is approved.
All right, second one out of 3. I am now asking for a motion to approve the Occupational Therapy Assistant Club.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions, comments, concerns on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The Occupational Therapy Assistant Club has been approved.
Last one, I promise. Finally, I am asking for a motion to approve the Dance Company's Club's Constitution.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions, comments, concerns on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Awesome, thank you so much. The Rules and Regulations Committee will be meeting again tomorrow at 4 in the Bonacos Conference Room, and the Rules and Regulations Constitutional Review Committee will be meeting tomorrow at 5:30 in the Sale Conference Room. Love conference rooms.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns for Ethan Haynes? Seeing none.
Joseph Bonilla.
I am currently a sitting member of the Rules and Regulations Committee, and due to incoming responsibilities, I will hopefully like to step down. So if there is someone who would like to be appointed onto this committee, please talk to me, and I will move forward proceedingly. Thank you. Are there any further? Seeing none, thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? And are there any announcements? Ollie Sutherland?
Evening, everybody. So earlier, I was expecting Austin Morgan to be here, not here, it's fine. We've been talking about there being a common hour change. ABC came back to us and essentially, or excuse me, the faculty came back to us and is talking about wanting us to do another survey. So Austin Morgan and I we're going to talk once you get back. We're all talking about, so just be prepared to keep that in your thoughts as well.
Thank you, Ollie. Are there any further? Irini Mahida.
On behalf of Nicholas Colombo, 87 days until the class of 2025 graduates.
Are there any further? Ethan Haynes. Angelina, thank you.
So I am making a poster for the class council of 2028. We have a president position open, 2 secretary positions open, or the secretary and 2 representative positions open. So if you know any first years that might be interested, please let them know, send them my way, give them my email, whatever you have to do. And then also, this upcoming week, we have some Valentine's Day events happening even after Valentine's Day from the CAB. And for the commuters in the room, let all your commuter friends know, tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to have a commuter lunch from 1 to 3, completely free in the DC. So let everybody else know.
Thank you, Angelina. Any further? Ethan Haynes?
There's a lot of people missing tonight. They're sick. Wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home. Take care of yourselves. I can't remember who said it, but someone said self-care is really important. Cannot agree more. Please stay home.
Oh, no, Juliana's Lee Salters, sorry.
I just have a question about that sick comment. Would we ever go back to mask mandates because everyone's so sick?
That is out of our hands.
I think the sickness is like the flu or something. But if you would like
Also-
masks, I have masks for you.
No, I have masks, it's fine, but just for fun, if you're sick, like, you have to wear one, like, upping up the mask respect, because it's like, yeah, if you're sick, you should stay inside and quarantine just a little bit.
I can absolutely send out a recommendation. Thank you. Justin?
Just further on the sick note, if you're sick, please do not come to committee meetings or SGA meetings. Email Jacob saying you're not going to be here, or the committee chair saying you won't make it. We'd rather have you stay home and rest before you spread the sickness around. So
As you all
It's
might
okay.
see, it wiped out a couple of us. Are there any, oh. Go ahead, Shannon.
We just want to, in Elizabeth's absence, we just want to remind you of the save the date for the Owl Ball. It's going to be, where's my committee for Owl Ball?
Cool,
Here?
right here.
Perfect, fun. I was kind of all decorated, ready to rock and roll, if you're okay with written in the stars. So we'd like to set up a time to do a video shoot or a quick Instagram, I don't know what it is, I'm told. Whatever it is, Friday afternoon, so just put that in the back of your head, get ready to rock and roll.
Thank you. Oh, Christopher Landis.
As someone who was not a fan of the Zoom meetings last year for Owl Ball Committee, can we make sure it's in person this
Oh,
year?
yeah, no, we're putting you in person.
Okay.
And that'll definitely be a question for the chair when she's here. Any reading?
What time are you doing the video?
I know, TBD, we will let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, are there any further announcements?
Joseph O'Neill.
In lieu of Jacob's absence, I want to make sure that you all are well aware that our next guest speaker for next week, February 25th, will be Bill Hines from the Foundation and others potentially. He'll be talking about Giverhood. If there are no further, are you reading?
Question for you, Joseph. Is that also another dress-up meeting?
No.
Thank you.
Are there any further? Seeing none, roll call.
Nicholas Palumbo, Isabel Moniz, Anderson Delaire, William Connor, Travis McLaughlin.
Here.
Brennan Giuliani. Aviana Lee Salters. Jacob Trainer. Cody Hoisington. Benny Rosas. Sophia Rubincheck. Melissa Kuzmeski. Raymond Croto. Trejo Nozel. Angelina Casella.
Here.
Rizzo Montero. Ethan Mallinson.
Here.
Christopher Land.
Here.
Renee Mahida.
Here.
Dominic Psycho.
Here.
Peru Sharma. John Carlos Artiega. Barney Garcia. Ollie Sutherland.
Here.
If there's no additional business, I call to adjourn the February 18th meeting of the Student Government Association until January 25th. Meeting adjourned. Yes. Right.
Yeah.